Hello, dear fans, friends, and subscribers. I know, dear friends, subscribers, it's unfortunately, as I said, I don't call this show a daily cricket show now because simply that I'm not able to live up to it. But here I am back here talking to you about cricket. So we are going to look at some matches that happened. So I'm not going to go in any pattern here. It's just going to be a talk on cricket. So this is all to my loyal followers of cricket happenings. I regret that I'm not being able to do this as a daily, so I don't call this anymore as a daily cricket show because I'm not living up to that and I don't have the right to. So that's the precise reason I call it just a cricket show from your host Ram. So let's start off. So basically, I'm going to first we are going to look at there was one particular match which I would have loved to talk about, but unfortunately couldn't. Now we are talking about the fourth one-day international that happened between England and West Indies at St George's, and that was the fourth ODI, where it was a very high scoring, thrilling match that happened, which went all the way down to the wire. There was tremendous excitement. Records in one day internationals tumbled like what I could say, tumbled like it was just tumbling and tumbling, and it was a wonderful exhibition of batting on a perfect batting pitch. It was a really a high scorer. It set a sort of a it set a landmark as far as one day international history is concerned when 46 sixes rained from the bats of the batsmen, and it was tremendous stuff at the St. George Stadium. This was the fourth one day international that happened on 27th of February. So we are talking about that particular match. And so I just wanted to just run you through that, just to tell you that what exactly happened from my angle, I would say. So looking at that match here, England were the ones who actually batted first. Now talking about England reached a huge total of 418 for 6. That was a massive total in a one day international. And as I said, they won the match with 29 runs, but only just, I would say, because there was a huge challenge from the West Indian batsmen. Now looking at the England card there, it was Barristow made 56 of 43, 4 fours, 4 sixes. Alex Hales clubbed 82 of 73, 8 fours, 2 sixes. But the real batting came from Josh Buttler, who notched up his highest ever score in one day international cricket of 150 runs, of 77 deliveries, 13 fours and 12 sixes. And the 12 sixes that Josh Buttler hit was a maximum by an English batsman in one day international, surpassing Moeen Ali, who probably, if I'm not wrong, I won't remember, it was probably 8 or 9 sixes. Morgan, the captain, also did a wonderful job. He contributed 103 of 88, 8 fours and 6 sixes, and 418 for 6 was a huge score. Jason Holder was slammed to the tune of 88 runs of his 7 overs, and O'Shane Thomas had 84 taken off his 10 with 2. So I'm not going to go into the bowling because the bowlers, definitely it was not a pitch for the bowlers. It was all about the batsmen. So Chris Gale is the one who really made a big assault on the English bowlers to keep the scoreboard moving at a rapid rate, and also ensured that in fact these West Indians are not going to go down without a fight. What an innings from Chris Gale. 162 of just 97 deliveries, which included 11 fours and 14 sixes, spanking sixes at that, and he also sent one out of the stadium as well. So this was some tremendous hitting from Chris Gale. And Chris Gale, for him, as he normally says, he is the when he talks, he just says, "I'm the universe boss." Yes, Gale, you are the universe boss. He really showed it, and he is someone, I think, in modern history, I have not seen any player who has played like Chris Gale. He is the most powerful batsman in ODI history. He will he's like a living legend today in one day international cricket for me. So Chris Gale, 162 of 97 deliveries, 11 fours and 14 sixes. And other than that, there was contributions from Darren Bravo, made 61, and then Unfortunately, Campbell Bravo and Hetmere did not really take off, but Jason Holder made 29. But it was all about Brathwaite and Nurse actually really putting some injection, I would say, because they were that was a time when the score read 301 for 6 in the 36th over. The overs remaining, Ashley Nurse and Brathwaite turned it on. Ashley Nurse, plundering 5 fours in knock of 43 and 50. But it was all about Adil Rashid, who just went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He took 5 wickets of the West Indian players to actually bowl them. As I said, 88-run partnership ensued between Brathwaite and Nurse, which took the score to 389. And from 389 on, there was nothing that West Indies could do, as it was Rashid totally tearing through as he picked up all the wickets that were to fall and plunged the West Indians to 389 all out. Thus the Englishmen winning by 29 runs and also taking a 2-1 lead in the series. And again, if you look at the bowling there, well, it was nothing to really talk about. Only Adil Rashid, 10 overs no maiden, 85 runs and 5 wickets for Adil Rashid. So that was the only thing that what could talk about. Josh Butler definitely was the man of the match for his exploits. And I can say the fourth ODI, now we are shifting to the final ODI, which is coming across Island tomorrow, and that is going to be, to me, it should be an humdinger, no doubt about it, because we are getting into the final ODI and the score stands 2-1. So it's a matter of West Indies, the home team, going and beating England tomorrow. I'm sure there's going to be a tremendous crowd, tremendous expectation at the Gross Islet Stadium in the Caribbean, and we are going to see a wonderful match. I'm sure these two teams have been evenly balanced, and we are in for a real cracker tomorrow at Gross Islet. So England, West Indies finishing 389, England won by 29 runs, and we are entering into the final ODI, and what a match that is going to be. I can't wait to actually talk about it, but if I thought I could do a sort of a small preview on that, just trying to see whether I can do something about that. But I can tell you one thing, that match is going to be a real cracker after what we have seen. And if England win, England take the series. But if West Indies win, they balance the series, they level the series. And that is what we are waiting for. So just talking about that. So I just wanted to touch base on that particular match which I missed upon. And also, so that is something that I wanted to really dwell on, and I'm glad that I came here to speak to you, dear friends and subscribers, after quite a long time. So that is as far as the West Indies and England are concerned. Now it will be interesting to see what really comes up there. Now we will just get our attention to the T20 series which happened, where the Australians are here in India. And Australia have won the 2-match T20 series 2-0. I thought Australians totally dominated. The Indians were really found wanting here, one has to say. But it was T20 cricket at its best, especially the second one-day international, where Glenn Maxwell turned it on a good batting patch in Bangalore, 194. But Glenn Maxwell was the man who was the difference. He slammed 116 with some tremendous strokes, used the bottom hand to good effect. It was good to see Glenn Maxwell getting into the mood and slamming runs aplenty. And there was 113 not out. Let me tell you, it's his highest score by Glenn Maxwell in T20 cricket, probably the maiden T20 century for Glenn Maxwell, and it was tremendous stuff there. And definitely one has to say that Glenn Maxwell played pace and spin. As it was a perfect batting pitch, no doubt about it, in Bangalore. Even though the Indians did well with Kohli, Dhoni contributing, KL Rahul getting into. So that's a sort of a refreshing thing for India, that KL Rahul has started firing once again, and some of his sixes were really breathtaking. Hitting Cummins over the extra cover region was a U beauty, and it was simply a very wonderful stuff. So now we are talking about this. Now, keeping the talk on the India-Australia T20 series. It's all over. So Australia have come here and they have beaten India at the T20. But now there is some real excitement coming in. One knows that the World Cup is probably 97. I have to still really calculate that, but I can say that probably it is around 90 odd days away. Definitely, and in England in 2019, and I can say that definitely there will be a lot of interest now as to how India and Australia fare, because they are clashing in the first match of the ODI series, which is going to be played at Hyderabad. India versus Australia, the first ODI, and India would be definitely wanting to put up a good performance. It will be interesting to see what's the selection coming up with. It will be very interesting, but I'm trying to see whether I can really talk about the selection here. India and Australia, the first ODI, it's going to be very interesting. So I'm trying to lay my hands on that right now and trying to see whether I can really do a small talk, a small preview, one could say. Also, while talking, I can give you some news as well that the South Africa has they have finalized their contracts for the upcoming season, and they have decided that Reza Hendricks and Thinus de Bruin have won full contracts with the South African cricket, and Imran Tahir probably he will be playing his last World Cup. Chris Morris also does not find a place, probably due to injury. Dumini does not find a place due to injury. And there is also talk going on about stump mics being introduced into the cricket game. We have already seen, and I think that will be very good for international cricket. Especially, they are planning to. There's some good news would come our way. They are planning to introduce the stump mics in the World Cup. Oh, what a great thing that would be if the stump mics could be introduced. One could really sit in front of the telly, watching the match, having more and more excitement, not only about the cricketers playing, but also about the cricketers talking. And that would be something which would really G us up for sure. So that is something which is happening. The World Cup one is, they are probably pondering, I mean, it has not been decided, but the ICC is really deciding whether stump mics is something which could, and I think it should be there, because according to me, it would be a sort of a big innovation in cricket coming up, especially coming in the World Cup, where it would do a lot of good. Just talking about the Afghanistan Ireland match that happened, as you know, Afghanistan totally dominated Ireland in the T20 series by swamping them 3-0, and now the first ODI yesterday that happened, where Afghanistan won the first ODI by 5 wickets. And just talking about the T20, one can say that Afghanistan are absolutely on the top now as far as ICC T20 rankings are concerned. They are on the top 10 right now. Rashid Khan, the leggy, is number 1. Mohammad Nabi has gone to number 3, and Zazai, who holds the world record, as you know, the other day, the way he patted Afghanistan's Chris Gayle, as they call him. He has risen to number 7 in a very short span of time. So it's great going for Afghanistan, and I have to say the Ireland-Afghanistan game, Afghanistan won the match by 5 wickets, and Mujibur Rahman was so miserly that he gave away just 14 runs, if I'm not wrong. He was so good, and he was the one who was the star as Afghanistan took a 1-0 lead in the series. And other than that, dear fans and subscribers, Maxwell, I have already talked about Glenn Maxwell, how he dealt with the Indian bowlers. Other than that, I'm trying to see whether I can give you a very, very small preview of the match, which is, as I said, the first ODI, and that is something which is of great interest to all the cricket lovers, because One Day International is something that everyone are going to keep their eyes honed on, no doubt about it, as the World Cup is fast approaching. I've already spoken about this on Twitter, that Duan Olivier has gone on at Kolpak, so he has, after doing so well against the Pakistanis in the recent series where South Africa won the Test series, Duan Olivier, the pace bowler, used the short ball to good effect, and he removed a lot of Pakistan batsmen with his short stuff, taking 26 wickets in the series, if I'm not wrong, has gone to the coal pack. So he has taken, he will be playing for Yorkshire, and that's the end of his South African career. He has said goodbye to South African cricket, and he has gone on into a coal pack. He has become a Yorkshire. He's going to be playing for Yorkshire. So that is some news that I want to talk about. In the meanwhile, I'm still trying to get on to the India-Australia preview, the first ODI that is coming up. In the meanwhile, there was some excitement in the Pakistan Super League when Liam Dawson slammed the final ball from Mohammad Sami for a boundary straight down the ground as I think Peshawar Zalmi won the match in Dubai against Islamabad United by a certain margin. Now, as I said, we are still talking about this India versus Australia game, but I believe I wouldn't be able to dwell much, but I'm going to take you live now to New Zealand. And the reason I'm taking you live to New Zealand is for the fact that this is a match which is going on. We are in the first test between Bangladesh and New Zealand, where New Zealand have been amassing runs like never before. I mean, they are doing a great job. Kane Williamson has gone to a century today. New Zealand have just started. I think they have just resumed their innings after lunch. No, it's still not resumed. As in the last ball before lunch, they lost the wicket of BJ Watling when Mehdi Hassan Miraz, the right arm offie, actually plucked Watling's wicket. So right now I can tell you the scores. The wicket of the final over before lunch, but Neil Wagner gave some thorough entertainment to everybody, slamming 47 of 37 balls in absolute one-day style with hitting. I think it was, if I'm not wrong, hit 5 to 6 fours. I reckon I can get into the scorecard to really tell you what happened. So we are talking about the first test between Bangladesh and New Zealand. I played at the Seddon Park in Hamilton. So just talking about it, Bangladesh were really had a very good start to the test match. I could say that, with Tamim Iqbal going on to score 126 with 21 fours and 1 6. I mean, what a knock that was from Tamim Iqbal, and it was a real shame that on a very good batting pitch, these Bangladeshis were bowled out. They were 121 for 1 at one stage, and Tamim Iqbal was the only one who made some difference. 126. He was almost close to 90 not out at the luncheon interval on the first day, but he was out for 126. Other than that, I have to say, it was only Liton Das who made 29. It was all about 234 all out, which was a real shame because it was a perfect batting pitch and it was only a matter of just capitalizing, which they couldn't. Tim Sadi at 3 for 76, but 5 for 47 from Neil Wagner. Now, Neil Wagner is someone who predominantly uses the short ball to absolutely good effect, and that's what he did. He did the Bangladeshis in by using the short stuff to great effect as he plunged them to absolute turmoil, one could say, as they were bowled out for 234. 16.2 overs, 4 maidens, 47 runs, and 5 wickets. I like that aggression in this Neil Wagner. He is someone who can really cause a lot of problems with the short stuff, and I'm sure he likes bowling. He loves bowling short stuff. And New Zealand, in their first innings, in their reply, G. Travel getting his maiden test done, 132 with 19 fours and 1 6. Tom Latham going on to his 9th test century, 161 with 17 fours and 3 sixes. And right now, Kane Williamson is not out on 173. Henry Nicholls made an attractive 53, but Neil Wagner provided thorough entertainment on the second day of the test match. On the third day, I suppose, yes, this is the third day of the test match where Neil Wagner absolutely slammed the Bangladeshi bowlers to make 47 of just 35 deliveries in absolute one-day style, which included 6 fours and 3 sixes. As I said, Watling was out to the last ball before lunch. Right now, as I'm talking to you, the New Zealand score, they've just started after lunch. The New Zealand score has swelled to 632 for 6 right now. They are 398 runs from the lead. Whether Kane Williamson will declare doesn't look like, because as I said, it's a batting pitch. Grant Home is a very dangerous player. 20 of 90 is an ideal situation for Grant Home to really go berserk, according to me, and probably for Kane Williamson to go on and make a double test done. It will be interesting, but unfortunately, dear fans, on this note, it's about time for me to pull the curtain down on this cricket show for today. But it was really something I was looking forward to. But I hope you all enjoyed this cricket broadcast of mine. With this being said, this is your host Ram bidding you all a very good night, but promising you that on Saturday I will once again be up to talk to you. Probably the excitement of the West Indies versus England, the final ODI which is coming up, and I'm sure it should be a full house tomorrow in Gross Island. Thanks and good night.